Welcome to Viewpoint on Ukraine Today. Joining us on the programme is Natalya Belitser, a researcher at the Institute for Democracy, named after Pylyp Orlyk. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure for me and honor to be invited here.
Well, you're very welcome. So I wanted to talk to you today about the Crimean Tatars, and recently court proceedings begun to ban the indigenous group that's in Ukraine's Black Sea Peninsula. Can you tell us a bit more, firstly, about the ban itself that's presumably, almost certainly going to take place?
The threat of persecutions of Mejlis and some actual actions taken by the de facto authorities of Crimea took place throughout this two-year period of the occupation, followed by the illegal annexation. Initially, there were attempts to make Mejlis members loyal to the new occupational power, to the Russian Federation. Different measures were taken, including engaging Tatarstan authorities, religious figures, public figures. And when they saw that it is hopeless, they decided that Mejlis should be destroyed. But actually the consequences may be much more grave than just Mejlis. Mejlis. And as perhaps you know, the pretext is that Mejlis is an extremist organization. But the problem is that not only 33 members of Mejlis, but also all people who are members of local Mejlises, there are quite a few of them in Crimea. So perhaps over 2,000 people can be persecuted directly linked to the Milli Mejlis, Central Mejlis, and even can be arrested according to Russia's so-called anti-extremist legislation.
According to these authorities.
Yes, and more of that, if they'll feel free to behave, I mean, not only Crimean puppets, but central powers and authorities in Moscow, then all people who were, for example, elected as delegates of the Kurultai, and Kurultai is the National Congress, National Assembly of Crimean Tatars, who elected members of Mejlis also can be persecuted.
Well, this Mejlis clampdown is very important almost for the Russian occupying authorities, because some people could say, well, maybe the Mejlis members could congregate somewhere else, but actually it's much larger than that, isn't it? Because they organize a lot of cultural events, social events. It's very key. Like, how important is the Mejlis?
Extremely important, and more of that. Please pay attention that actually Mejlis is very close by its role, and maybe even more pronounced role, than the well-known examples of the three Sami parliaments in the three Nordic European states, Norway, Finland and Sweden. They exist, they're absolutely legally, they're financed for the state budgets, but Mejlis, which was never officially recognized by Ukraine, regrettably, until March 20, 2014. When Crimean Tatars, by the decree and resolution of the Ukrainian parliament, it was eventually recognized as Crimean Tatars as indigenous peoples, and Mejlis as the main executive body, whereas Kurultai main representative body.
And it's very important for international business,
their role in the life of the whole community of all Crimean Tatar people was very important, and it is a big mistake even to name Mejlis organization. organizations suggest some membership voluntarily or anything, and this is elected body and unprecedented among all other ethnic or national minorities of Ukraine.
Yes, I wanted
and this
to ask you,
difference is very important to recognize.
So you have this difference as well, but it's been 2 years since Russian troops actually first started to seize government buildings in Crimea, and the little green men, as they were known at the time, came in, and later the Russian president admitted that there was this armed takeover. But it's been 2 years, so why is there a lack now of information about what's happening in Crimea on the international political front?
You see, during the first year of occupation and annexation of Ukraine, Ukrainian state and Ukrainian authorities were just seemingly shocked, unable to cope with all the threats and challenges, and paid not enough attention to Crimea. And so the start of the bloody war, the east of the country, of course, distracted all forces, all energy, all intentions to do something, and the same with international community. Although sanctions introduced by the US and the EU related to the annexation of Crimea, although they are of lower level and weaker than sanctions related to the war in Donbass, nevertheless did work. And these recent threatening developments, like the request by the so-called procurator of Crimea, Natalia Poklonskaya,
the prosecutor,
to ban
yes,
Mejlis, is something that we have really 1 week ahead of us to react.
So how are the Crimean Tatars prepared then for this imminent ban? Now, what are they doing? Because it's very dangerous for them, especially the ones there.
They put on alert everybody and every state, ambassadors, international communities, but at the noon of the March 3, when the first court so-called sitting was taking place in Simferopol, there were only a few statements, predominantly by the human rights organizations. It was, of course, Ukrainian, Crimean human rights group, but it was a strong statement, international, by the International Federation of Human Rights and the Helsinki Union on Human Rights
these
of
are the
Ukraine.
two main groups,
joint
aren't they?
statement,
Yes, yeah.
very in strong terms and so on. And yesterday, the regular report, last report of the UN Office of High Commissioner on Human Rights, presented their report, and the last entry of it was as follows. They expressed their concern, of course, deep concern about intention to ban Mejlis, and the last entry was that they demand the request to ban the Mejlis be lifted. But all of us know that all those demands, calls, statements have absolutely no effect, no impact on Russia's behavior and its attitude.
Well, Ms. Belitser,
so
I wanted
to
to ask
mind,
you about this.
This outrageous attack not only on human rights, on minority rights, but on the rights of officially and internationally recognized indigenous people should be followed by much stronger action. And of course I mean sanctions, because sanctions are the only thing that really influence Russian mood, Russian policy, and the opportunity to force Russia to withdraw its many of its
going to take a long time, isn't
wrongdoings
it?
is only through sanctions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Belitser. Thank you very much for coming to our studios on Viewpoint. We've been talking about the Crimean Tatars Mejlis that faces imminent ban. You've been watching Ukraine Today. Now, back to the news.